everybody? I am back today to talk about criminal offenses that are common in our community. Over 70% of Americans have committed a crime that did or could have landed them in jail. That's a huge number. That's more than half of the people in America, more than half of the people that live in the United States. And I'm sure that you wouldn't look at your neighbor or somebody driving down the street or your grandmother or whatever the case as a person that has committed a criminal activity. But even if you commit a criminal activity, that doesn't mean that you go to jail or that you are charged with a crime. That's something completely different. So today we are going to talk about criminal offenses and why they are so common and some of the various common offenses that people are charged with. 1 in 3 Americans have a criminal record, according to the FBI. Now again, a criminal record does not mean that you went to jail or to prison or were on house arrest or anything of that nature. It just means that you committed a criminal offense that has gone onto your record. A criminal offense is something as small as a parking ticket. Yes, a parking ticket goes on your criminal record. I have gotten countless amount of parking tickets, and so technically I have a criminal record. When I was applying to take the bar exam, we have to go through a very strenuous process where the people that operate the bar exam, they have to vet us and make sure that we are good people and that we have moral character and standards, because we are going to be the ones that are representatives of the law. And so when I was preparing to take the bar exam, I have to upload my criminal record. I have to upload all of my tickets. I have to upload how these various situations were remedied. I have to give explanations for why these things occurred, why I was driving 50 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone, why I parked in a handicap instead of parking in a regular spot, all of those various things. So in any case, when I applied to take the bar exam, the judicial committee called me in for a meeting. Now, typically the judicial committee calls you in for a meeting if you have a criminal record. So a friend of mine was called in because she had 2 driving under the influence charges on her criminal record. And so you get called in for all these various charges and offenses. And so when they called me in, I'm thinking, my criminal record is clean. Like, what could I be getting called in for? I passed every single background check with flying colors. Like, I don't have any criminal issues or behaviors on my record. I wonder what they could possibly want with me. So I go before the board. It's very intense. There's about 10 senior attorneys, some judges here that sit on the Indiana Judicial Board of Commissioners for the state bar. So I go and they're questioning me about these speeding tickets that I have received and about this parking ticket that I got when I parked in a handicap spot. And so although I thought that these were, minute issues, it's like they still followed me into the professional world when it came to applying to take the bar exam. So, although very small in my opinion, and quite frankly in the grand scheme of things as well, it still matters, it's still important. All criminal activity is still criminal activity, even if you don't go to jail or have a jail sentence or a prison sentence proposed to you. So, let's talk felonies versus misdemeanors. Misdemeanors are less serious crimes. Felonies are very serious crimes. So, as I was talking about the traffic violations and all of those things, that will fall under the misdemeanor category, and I mean low-level misdemeanor. Some other things that will fall under misdemeanors, possibly petty theft, larceny, things of that nature. Larceny is when you take the property of someone else and you take it somewhere without the intent of giving it back to that person. Those are lower offenses, of course, depending on the value of the particular property that you decided to take. But those are misdemeanor offenses. Driving under the influence, things like that could be considered misdemeanors. Now, when that goes over into the felony category is if you're driving under the influence, you get into a car crash, and that crash causes somebody to pass away. Okay, now we're looking at vehicular manslaughter, which is a felony crime. Other felony crimes, big drug crimes, murder, of course, robbery, where you're using a weapon to induce fear into somebody. All of those things are felony crimes that will land you most likely a prison sentence of a number of years. Misdemeanors typically don't land you a prison sentence. There are lesser charges for misdemeanors. Probation, maybe some sort of rehabilitation program, maybe some fines, like if you have traffic violations, you need to pay your tickets, things like that. For misdemeanors, you typically don't go to jail, and definitely not prison, but you may, for a felony offense, if you are found guilty, you'd most likely end up in prison. So that's the difference between felonies and misdemeanors. Only 47% of crimes are reported to the police, according to a statistic given in 2022. So here in the United States, only 47% of crimes are actually reported, which means that all these numbers that I'm giving to you, with the 70% of people having committed a crime, that's only out of 47% of the crimes that are actually reported, that we know about. But there are numerous other crimes that go unreported for whatever reason. Sometimes people just don't report the crime that happens. For example, somebody stole the barbecue grill off of my cousin's porch, but she didn't report the crime. She did not file a police report. Nothing ever came of it. Somebody stole the barbecue grill off the porch. Well, that's theft, but that doesn't fall into the numbers or the 6 million people that commit theft every year, because it was an unreported crime. So the police don't even know that that occurred. They don't even know that that happened, so they cannot count that into the amount of theft crimes that have occurred in the last year. Of the number of crimes that occur, theft and larceny is number one. And I said 6 million before, but it's actually 7 million theft crimes that occurred in 2022, which is a lot. Can you imagine 7 million? And that's just for the reported number of thefts. 7 million cases of theft occurred last year and were actually reported. And then you've got a ton of others that were not reported, but 7 million were reported. 7 million cases of theft were reported last year. Now, theft has a ton of different categories. Under theft crimes, you've got larceny, which means that you pick up somebody's item and you take it with you and you have no intent to return that item. So if I see a cell phone on the floor and I pick up that cell phone and I take it with me and I have no intent to return it, then I've just committed larceny, which is a theft offense. Robbery is when you add some sort of threat in with the larceny. So if I see the cell phone and I pick up the cell phone and I see the owner of the cell phone and I point a knife at the owner and I say, you can't take this cell phone or I'm gonna cut you, and then I walk away with it, that's robbery. Burglary is similar to robbery, only burglary has to transpire at somebody's home at night. It's very specific. And so with burglary, you have to break and enter into someone's home at night with the intent to commit a felony inside. So you may not necessarily finish committing the felony. You may not take anything out of the house, but if you had the intent to steal or the intent to kill someone inside of the home, you've committed burglary, even though you didn't get a chance to finish that action. It's not attempted burglary, it's just burglary because you had the intent to commit the felony once you got inside, even if you did not fully carry out that felony. Another theft offense is false pretenses. So if you're trying to sell me a car and I say, okay, I'll buy your car for $5,000. I want to drive off with the car today. I'll bring you the money tomorrow. And I drive off with the car and I never bring you the money. That's false pretenses. So I can't be convicted of larceny because you actually gave me the car. I didn't take the car from you. You gave it to me. But you gave it to me because I told a lie. So that's false pretenses, and I can most certainly be convicted of false pretenses. Now, another one is receiving stolen property. So you can even be convicted of a theft offense if you're not the one that stole the property. So if I steal 10 bags of chips from the candy store and I bring those chips to you and I say, I just stole these from the candy store, you want some chips? And then the police come after you've taken the chips, you could be convicted of receiving stolen property because you knew that that property was stolen and you still took it. So there's a lot of various crimes that fall under the big umbrella of theft. You want to make sure that you don't fall in the category of any of those theft offenses. However, over 7 million Americans have committed theft offenses in the last year, which is insane. And that's only out of the number of crimes that were reported. So there's a ton more that we don't even know about. But by far, theft is the most common criminal offense. Okay, last but not least, I know it seems really glamorous to be a scammer, but do not be a scammer. You do not want to be a scammer. The police are in the loop with scammers, especially the federal government. In tech crimes, in fraud cases, and computer crimes. Anytime you get an email that's a spam email, but they want you to put your credit card information in, and things like that, all of that is scams. All of that is computer technical scams, and that is a crime. It's a white collar technical crime. Over 11.8 people have been convicted of fraudulent computer crimes. You do not want to be one of those people. In this day and age, we live in a technical day and age. Technology is far more accessible. It's much easier to do tricks and scams on the internet and all those types of things. And I know it might look cool, but if it sounds too good to be true, it most likely is too good to be true. Make sure you are not engaging in any fraudulent activity over the computer, over the internet. Protect your own rights when it comes to computers and your email. Make sure you keep all your passwords private to protect yourself from people that are scamming, and don't become a scammer. That's it, guys. I hope this helped you out with understanding some of the most common criminal offenses here in America. I hope it was very enlightening and eye-opening for you. And overall, make sure that you try to keep your criminal record as clean as possible because it matters for your future. Thank you.